I mean, obviously, defense means a lot in the NFL, and we did see some defenses come around this week. Although we talk about the Bills and the Cardinals, that was a huge scoring game. Obviously, there was very little defense from the Cincinnati Bengals, but overall, a lot of games were much closer and much lower scoring than we've seen in weeks prior. Now, a lot of this could have to do with the weather, but here's one game that was actually much more low scoring than I thought it was going to be, and the score does not tell you this game. This game was not this close, actually. I think the Rams really put a whooping on the Seattle Seahawks. It was 23-16. The headline says, Russ can't cook with Donald in the kitchen. We're here with the editor of What's on Sports. It's whatsonsports.com. His name is Michael Schusler. Michael, what's going on with this headline, man?
Oh, that headline, I think, is completely accurate. So Russell Wilson can't seem to get anything cooking when you got Aaron Donald breathing down your neck. Maybe
there's a little more to it, though. Please explain what the cooking reference is.
Well, for those who may not be aware or follow, athletes' social media accounts and what they do off the field, 2 weeks ago, Russell Wilson trademarked the phrase, let Russ cook, which had been floated around in Seattle as a term to say to Pete Carroll, hey, let Russell Wilson throw the ball 50 times a game. Let him go out and make plays happen because he's amazing. And for the first 8 weeks of the season, that seemed to have been working. But somewhere in Russell's head, maybe it's his relationship with Sierra, who is a pop star. She's like, hey, Russ, you need to think about your career. When you're finished, what are you going to do after you retire? So I guess he's in that mindset. He's trademarking his name's Mr. Unlimited, let Russ cook. He's trying to set himself up for something bigger than he is. And since trademarking, very fake, but since trademarking,
totally fake, not very fake, completely fake.
And he's now 0-2 since that trademark. So I thought it was a fun little title. He needs to get out of the kitchen. Okay, he's cooking a little bit. He's focusing too much on kicking.
I agree.
He needs to get back on cooking. He needs to get back on the field and remember how to play football and win games for his team. Because without Russell Wilson, that team doesn't have much. And to that point, I think the Seahawks also really miss their number one running back, Chris Carson, who's been out for the last 3 weeks. He really sets the tone for that offense and opens up the run game, which then opens up the passing game. So. They miss him, but yeah, I mean, Russ needs to chill out a little bit. I mean, he needs to start winning football games again, and then once he does that, he can focus on his persona of Mr. Unlimited and let Russ cook and all this nonsense.
Well, let me tell you something. I have a list. I keep a list. I'm checking my list. I'm checking it twice, just like Santa Claus. I got these guys and certain athletes that I think come off to me as incredibly genuine good leaders, decent people. As much as I don't like to say it, Lamar Jackson to me comes off as someone that could be a leader for a long time. He's got the right attitude quarterback. I don't think it doesn't appear to me that if somebody's in his ear telling him, oh, you should be this, you should be that he's not listening.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that anybody tells these athletes to behave like this. I think each one of them is an alpha male. They probably have their own way, but somewhere along the way, somebody comes up with an idea and they go, oh, I can do that. I got a list, and I won't go into the whole list, but Russell Wilson just made my list over the last 6 or 8 weeks. That Mr. Unlimited thing is the fakest thing I've ever seen. He's running around his house, taking videos, going, Mr. Unlimited, what are you talking about? We don't even know what you're talking about. What is it you're doing? First of all, your house isn't even very nice. What'd you make last year? 25 million, 30 million? What are you doing in that house? What are you at your mom's house? Like, what is that? Like, I see this video. He's running around his house. I'm irritated by the fact that my house is nicer. Like you just got bad taste. What room are you in?
Maybe
Second of all,
go ahead.
I'm not done. Yeah. Second of all, you're trademarking let Russ cook. So you're trademarking that the coach should let you do whatever he wants. You're the leader of the team.
Mm-hmm.
You have in your last 4 games, you have 10 touchdowns and 10 turnovers. That is terrible. That's not even like something that you can work with. And what are they the last 3 games? 1-2?
Yep.
I mean, they were 6-0, weren't they?
Yeah.
Were they 5-0?
They were
They're
6
6-3 now.
Mm-hmm. Or I guess they were 5.
So why are you muted? I don't know what happened. You just got muted somehow. I can't hear you anymore. I'm just going to keep talking to you till you figure it out. Anyway, I can't hear anything you're doing, but I want to listen to you. I do.
Yeah.
I want to hear everything you're saying.
Can you hear me now?
Anyway, so Russell Wilson is just one of those guys. I can hear you now. Well, Russell Wilson is just one of those guys who just agitates the absolute piss out of me because he's not real. Someone's making him do that. And if no one's making him do that, then somebody needs to stop him and say, "Hey, Russ, you're wrong. You're going the wrong way here, buddy."
Yeah. He is married to a pop star, so I think that has a lot to do with it. She really must influence that. But it's in his better interest and the Seahawks' better interest if he lets Sierra do the cooking and he concentrates on football.
Boom. Let's leave it right there. You see how you dropped that to me? That was really nice. I'm here today with the editor-in-chief of What's on Sports. That's what'sonsports.com. His name is Michael Schussler. You could say it any way you want to. It just kind of rolls off your tongue. Here's another one I was right about, though, Michael. This is one of those things when I a couple weeks ago, we had a conversation saying who is going to be the guy if, God forbid, Drew Brees were to get injured, Drew Brees were to get hurt, something were to happen. What if when he leaves, is it going to be Taysom Hill's team? Sunday evening, 4:00 game, Saints 27, 49ers 13. What's your take?
My take is that it's not Taysom's team. And you see that on the headline for those of you who are watching at home. And yeah, we talked about that.
Let me just look up his stats really quick. Let's see. He was as a quarterback, he was 0 for 0.
Well, because they brought in Jameis Winston, who is their on paper, he's their backup QB, 30 for 30 Jameis. So hopefully ESPN, they will be completely missing out if they do not do a 30 for 30 on that season. Yeah, eat that W. That's right. Let's eat one. Dude,
hang on just really quick.
Yeah.
Did you see when they won last week?
And he
was still doing it.
I know. Well, it's his thing. I mean, come on.
Like no one's told you how ridiculous you look when you stick your fingers in your mouth like you're trying to gag and say you're eating a W.
At least he's not trademarking it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But so ESPN needs to do a 30 for 30 on his 30 touchdowns and 30 interception season that he did last year, which is now more.
He got that fixed. I got laser eye surgery. Everything's good now.
I guess so. Well, if he's not throwing the ball 60 times a game, then it doesn't matter. But the real takeaway here is that, what happens if Drew Brees retires, if he gets injured? And Drew Brees suffered a rib contusion yesterday, and he's expected to miss some time. So it hasn't been clear about how many weeks he will miss, but that he's expected to miss some time. So it looks like with Drew Brees sidelined, they're going to go with Jameis Winston over Taysom Hill. And we had talked about, if you're Taysom Hill, are you upset about this? Or have you been talking to Sean Payton saying, hey, this is my team, right? Like, this is going to be my team when Drew Brees retires, right? Like, here we go. You've been feeding me little breadcrumbs this whole time. When am I going to fully get to eat?
Never.
Maybe never. Maybe
it's never going to happen.
So if you're Taysom Hill, I mean, are you better off going to, going to San Francisco or going to the New York Jets, depending on what they do in the offseason?
Who's gonna sign Taysom Hill and give him a quarterback guarantee? You're our starter, based off of what they've seen as far as like him being a quarterback.
I mean, the Jets could certainly use any upgrade that they could get, so maybe them, but the Jaguars could probably use him as well.
It's a huge commitment. And listen, although we're going to talk about the game next, I think Teddy Bridgewater's been very good this year.
Yes. I
don't think that team in general is very good, but Teddy Bridgewater, with what little he's working with McCaffrey being hurt, I think Teddy Bridgewater is a top 12 quarterback. Mm-hmm. I'd have to sit down and rank them all to see where I'd have them on my list, but I think he's a top 12 guy, honestly. I do not think Taysom Hill's a top 32 quarterback. That is my personal opinion. And it's nothing against Taysom Hill. I think we've had this conversation. I think he's an elite athlete. He's a heck of a football player.
Mm-hmm.
He really is. I mean, look at his stats yesterday. He was 0 for 0 passing, but I think he had 9 carries. He caught the ball 4 times. You know, He played special teams. He may have punted the ball. You don't know what that guy's going to do. He could do almost everything. I just don't think he's a franchise quarterback.
That's a fair point. I would say that my final takeaway for this game, then we can move on, is that whether Drew Brees is there, whether he's not, the backbone of this offense is Alvin Kamara. I mean, he only had 15 rushing yards, but still 2 touchdowns. He had 7 receptions for 80 yards and another score, 3 total scores. He scored every one of their touchdowns. I think he's you got to love Alvin Kamara and just how they use him. And Michael Thomas, again, another disappointing week. He was out there for the full set of snaps, and he only had 2 receptions for 27 yards. I guess you can say Drew Brees got hurt, but if you're a Michael Thomas owner in fantasy and you see Jameis Winston out there,
I am
almost like, heck yeah, throw it up. Just, do you, Jameis, throw it up to triple coverage. Let Michael Thomas at least try to come down with it. So you'd like to see a little bit more usage out of him, but Alvin Kamara, best player in fantasy.
Yeah, hard to disagree with you. And we're going to talk about some of your favorite players coming up in here in just a little bit. Michael's got a special report for us that he's been working on that he's going to tell us a little bit about in one of our next segments. But before we move forward, I just want to say something about this. Everyone's always talking about, like, how are you going to replace a Drew Brees? How are you going to replace an Aaron Rodgers? How are you going to replace a Ben Roethlisberger? How are you going to replace your Tom Brady? You look at the Patriots. I think the Patriots are the model for what happens to you when you try to replace a Tom Brady. It's not pretty. It's not pretty at all.